Hi, I'm Anthony Originello, CEO of the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources for BC and Yukon. We represent more than 8,000 members, and as the organization dedicated to advancing the HR profession through education, advocacy, awareness, professional development, as well as our recognized and impactful CPHR designation, we are proud to be a sponsor of this show. We have been the voice of the HR profession since 1942. Learn more about us at cphrbc.ca.
In this edition of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Dr. Linda Schubring, who's an author of a book called Unfolded and a leadership consultant. Linda, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
What exactly is your job?
What is my job? I am the president and principal consultant of Leadership Vision Consulting, a firm that my partner in business and marriage founded in the year 2000. And my job is really two things. It is to work with our clients that represent teams all over the world, working with clients to identify talent, to illuminate that talent, get that talent working together and experiencing the kind of transformation that workplaces and organizations need. So I'm a little dose of sunshine. I am a little dose of inspiration with a story that connects with people.
Okay, that's what that end product output is, but your job probably includes a lot more than that. I'm sure you have to do marketing and you have to do creative work and you have to write. And so what are the elements of your actual job?
The elements of my job are administration and business development and a little bit of sales and a little bit of networking, a lot of reading, a lot of writing, an opportunity to synthesize some of our thinking in articles and podcasts, and opportunities to work with teams. I feel like my mind is always on, and my desire is to continue to refine my craft by letting people, that sounds wrong, by being curious with who people are and letting people teach me the nuances of who they are and how they show up in the world. So
the book over your shoulder is called Unfolded. So you had to write that. That's quite an arduous task.
It was an arduous task. And I wrote it with my husband and business partner. And we wrote Unfolded together. He laid down some of the structure. I was seeking to help him edit some of it. It's an allegory. It's a story that you can see yourself in, about an origami crane who dreams of becoming a paper plane. And the only way that she can become that paper plane is to be unfolded, to harness the potential of her dreams and to lean on her community. And as Brian, my husband, had written some of the structure, I knew that I could bring some of the light and the color and the dialogue to the characters that would be a reflection of decades of work with teams and leaders.
So you had to do that creative work, you had to do the writing. Did you self-publish?
No, we were published with Wiley Publishing. And in June of 2025, we landed top 5 in the USA Today best-selling list right after Stephen King. So that was a celebratory day for us. When we were considering the self-publishing route, I thought there is no way that I can keep track of books and how many books I want to carry in my car to be ready for events. And we had the privilege of receiving an opportunity to publish with Wiley.
So going back to your job, though, you had to be involved in the negotiations of working with the publisher to work out a deal. That's work as well, and it takes a certain skill set.
Yes, and I'm thankful for the partnership of Brian and our team, where we could not have done this alone. And actually, the woman who wrote our foreword used to be the Chief Information Security Officer at Best Buy Global, and she came along, she wrote our foreword, and then she said, "Let me help you birth this book." So I don't necessarily look at my job as all these tasks I have to do, but what kind of work can we do together to bring a message of healing and hope and light into the world?
So you wouldn't have that kind of cooperation or support from somebody of that stature unless you were able to build relationships. So that also has to be a part of your job description.
Yes,
Chief relationship builder.
Yes, and I've been to plenty networking events where it just feels like, is this where you exchange business cards, and am I going to see you again? And what I find is I want to genuinely know people. And when I hear their story and I understand what motivates them, what makes them tick, there's a synergy that happens. And I don't want to just build relationships for building relationships in order to build a business. I want to be an active participant of building relationships that represents the kind of communities that I think will not just benefit a company or a person, but that will benefit family systems.
Now, did I hear you also say that you produce a podcast?
We do. We have a fabulous creative director that has had the foresight in 2017 to launch our podcast, and we use that as a platform to speak about how to help leaders become more emotionally healthy and mentally engaged, and what kind of elements of team culture could really be leveraged in times like this.
So you got a big job. You got a lot of responsibilities, and as you said, your mind never turns off. You are an entrepreneur.
Yes. In a very entrepreneurial household, and I would never have dreamed that a job like this even existed. My goal was to be the president of a small university, and I am certainly glad that dream did not come true. I really thought that there was going to be something mayoral or something important about shaping education for the next generations. And instead, I'm drawn to people that are willing to grow and transform. And so for me to have a role that is entrepreneurial, that is carrying a message of that growth and transformation for wholeness and for goodness, I want to be about that.
So where'd you go to high school?
I went to North Branch High School in homogeneous rural Minnesota, USA.
You graduated from high school, and what did you say at that time? Did you say, yeah, I want to be the president of a university at that point? Or was when you graduated from high school, did you even have a direction that you wanted to pursue?
I didn't have a direction. And instead, I knew I wanted to play volleyball at a university. So I did that. I remember meeting with an advisor, and I said, I guess I'm undecided. And he looked at me and he said, Linda, you're not undecided, you're deciding. And that empowering moment gave me this opportunity to explore the liberal arts education and be refined. I took many career paths or fields of study. And then that same advisor said, Linda, you almost have a psychology major. I'm like, yes, because I love these classes. I love studying people. I love studying motivation and how how people tick and how to build strong teams. And I'm just curious about it. And he said, that's called a major. So I graduated with a major in psychology and
But you
continued
didn't
my
stop
academic
there.
pursuit.
You didn't
I didn't
stop
stop
there.
there. I didn't stop there because in the course of being in the university, I had a mentor say to me, interview someone who has a job that you'd think you'd like someday. And I interviewed the vice president of student life at the university, and I sat with her and I learned the complexity of her job and the kind of relational dexterity that you would need, the complex systems thinking. And I thought, I want to do that. And so I pursued a master's degree in student affairs administration in higher education. And as I was in that position, thinking, you know what, maybe I'm going to be a president someday, I think there was something in the back of my mind that thought, but you want to move faster, Linda. You want to move faster than sometimes bureaucratic um, institutions want to move.
But you completed your education with a PhD, did you not?
I completed it with, it's called the Doctor of Intercultural Studies. So I had to decide between the PhD and a Doctor of Intercultural Studies. And I knew that I wanted to be a practitioner. I didn't want to be just a researcher. And I wanted to make an impact right from the get. And so I entered a program where I was going to, I was in a program, a doctoral program with people from all over the world. I was in a program studying leadership with an intercultural framework with a Rwandan Anglican priest who survived the genocide, with a Nigerian woman from Kenya who wanted to work in the Kibera slums. In Yeah, and for me, I came most alive when I was with people of very different cultures, and I knew that the majority of my learning would not happen in books or just writing, but in the life that I could live with other people.
So between graduating and starting your own firm now, or back in 2000, what did you do?
Yeah, so my husband started the company in 2000. So he was the entrepreneur, and he had started the company, and there's been many iterations. So I still kind of feel we are a 27-year-old startup. What did I do from 2000? I got a master's degree. I worked at an institution of higher education. I moved to California and worked at a university there. I was put in charge of all of student life at one point as the dean of students. I was pretty young to get that role. And in my late 20s, I knew, well, maybe I'll make a go for it. Maybe I could be the president of a small college. And I made the path to enter a doctoral program because I knew that that was part of the hoop to jump through, not just a hoop, but a refining of my thinking. And then I worked at universities. And I joined Brian in his pursuits of transforming how people express their brilliance and beauty. And I joined the team in the year 2008.
Wow. So if you take a look at yourself and think of what is one of the personality characteristics that you have discovered that you have that emerged while you were along the way, but has played an important role in you being successful?
The number one thing that I've learned about myself is the strength of my adaptive capacity. I was often a very adaptable child. I think my mother thought I would outgrow I would outgrow that trait. It turns out it's been a competitive advantage for me. My adaptive capacity scans the room, it sees who needs to be connected to whom. If trial and suffering are presented, I have this opportunity to respond. My true adaptive capacity was tested in 2011 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer while I was studying how teams and individuals navigate change in a multinational environment in big cities in Europe. And so I became my own case study. And so I can prove that it was my adaptive capacity that has allowed me not just to find success, but to have fun along the way.
Wow. Well, thank you for giving us an insight into your current job and your career path to achieving the success that you're enjoying so far.
Thank you so much.